Hey guys, if there's anyone in the room right now, we're just going to wait a few minutes just to let everyone else join.
Good afternoon, all.
How you guys doing?
Life is good, as
Life is
always.
great.
I've been enjoying this cooler weather.
Yeah, I bet it's way cooler here than Florida now.
It's very hot here and it's very rainy. It's been storming all day.
Oh, really?
Yes. Walking the dog in that storm is never fun.
Well, it's not too strong to knock out your internet, so that's a good thing.
That's the key.
Yes.
Still have power.
Raincoat yet, though?
Nope, you're still just doing the towel and wipes when he comes inside. So no raincoat for him.
I think the coolness is a bit bittersweet because I can sense that the fall is coming, and I'm not ready for summer to be over.
Yeah.
Me either. But if this is what the fall weather is going to be like, then I'm loving it.
Yep. Yeah, I was downtown Baltimore, Fells Point, and this lady came with her, I don't know, maybe 15-pound dog who had socks on. So my kids, they said, what does that dog have on its paws? And I got closer and I realized that she had socks or shoes or whatever on her dog. So
I respect it.
Greg, I think you were in Harbor East. It's more of a style, fashion centric area there, and it was just for the style.
I think it was because it hadn't rained in a week, so it's not trying to prevent muddy paws.
Maybe those are his favorite socks, Greg. You don't know.
I didn't ask the dog.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, you just you gotta smile and take it in. You can't judge anybody.
That's right.
Okay, I see a few more people joining. I'm just going to give it one more minute and then we're going to start, guys.
Thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
I like that little chime.
Me too. I'm going to have to figure out how to turn that off. Okay, and let's get started, guys. So I want to start by saying welcome to JuiceBox. What you guys have been waiting for is finally here. This is going to be our third webinar of the year, Summer Catch-Up. My name is Robin Braswell, and I'm the Operations and Marketing Coordinator here at Armstrong Dixon. If I haven't met you, I am excited to catch up with you on today's call. We did receive some feedback for today's call, but we still welcome you guys to email me questions directly at rbraswell@armstrongdixon.com. We're limited by regulators for our live chat, so I will be checking my email intermittently just to make sure that we can answer all of your questions real time anonymously. If at any time you start to experience connectivity issues, there's going to be a reconnect button that should appear on your screen. Please try pressing that first. And on today's panel, we have Greg Armstrong. We also have Nav Simpson along with Skylar Engelhardt, who are our two servicing advisors, and all three on the call today are certified financial planners. So they're ready to assist your families with all of your needs. Greg is going to kick off the call today.
Well, good afternoon, all. And if you're joining us via vacation or different countries or states, thanks for spending time with us. But we need to address the fact that you're listening to us and not enjoying wherever you are. So we'll handle that later. Well, welcome today. If you're listening now, or if you click on the link later on, we appreciate your attention and obviously all your experiences and being our trusted clients. We really do appreciate all of you. So from what's happening in the world, I am having the hardest time pulling my 8-year-old daughter away from the Olympics. She actually watched yesterday the full 2-hour open water marathon swim, which I got bored after about 2 minutes, but she was so excited for the food stops, which I don't know if anybody saw this or knows how this event works, but the coach holds out a long stick over the water with a cup that has liquid or bars or whatever for the swimmers to eat or drink after or in between each lap. And the fascinating thing was they keep swimming. So they just spin around and they do the backstroke while they're eating or drinking, which was pretty impressive. I have to give it to you, but Margo just couldn't take her eyes off of the food stop. So, the Olympics have really taken us, at least my family, by storm. Enjoy watching them. And me being a financial geek, I can't help comparing the Olympics with financial planning, estate, business, whatever that we normally talk and consult with all of you on. And what strikes me is the preparation that all of these athletes go through to get to a point where they perform for whether it's 2 hours in the marathon or 20 seconds on the sprint or anything in between, and just the dedication that they have to get to that one point, which I can relate to the financial side in having your checkups, making sure you're spending quality time on your own accounts, your own balance sheet, your own business, your own estate planning documents. And obviously we're here to help and aid in that. But it takes time, to have success. You need to devote yourself, time, energy, sometimes money, to making sure that you have the best plan in all those different aspects. So, I hate that my mind goes that way, but I guess I'm just built that way while I'm watching the Olympics. But I wanted to kind of start off with that, and then also highlight Simone Biles, who has been all over social media, the news networks, in praising her for thinking about her own health, mental state, ahead of her country, her teammates, and all of that. And she is getting a lot of praise. And I take that in just reference, spending time, again, on yourself, on your finances, on your planning is really important. It proves helpful to be unselfish, but, certain times of the week, month, year, be selfish, look at your own planning, and make sure that it's in the best stature that it can be. So that's my tie to the Olympics and how we're drawn to over the next couple of days as it ends. Make sure that you include us and view us as the athletes view their coaches. View us as your coach.
Yeah, and we're a little bit over halfway through the year now. So a lot of times people do a check-in at the beginning of each year and set a goal for what's going to happen from, by the end of the year. And it's good to check in quarterly, or if you haven't done so already, for a sort of a semi-annual sort of check-in with yourself to assess where you're at in progress towards this year's.
Absolutely, Skylar. And you just think about what we see as the end result of a journey for these athletes. They're world class, top of their class, and the only way to really get there is by working on themselves. But they rely on a coach that really helps push them through. And no matter how good you are at something, it always helps to have that second opinion or that person that can motivate you to be better. And that's what our goal is, to make sure that you enjoy the journey on your financial planning side, on your financial journey, to get to the goal. And we'll be happy to help in any way we can, and help you achieve those goals. So I love the tie back from the Olympics to financial planning and how we all together can be better, even though we're all on this journey individually, but at the same time together.
Yes, teamwork makes the dream work, and we are behind you guys. So we're going to switch topics. We're going to go to another current event topic. There have been concerns over the new Delta variant and further shutdowns. What is the potential impact on the economy as well as the markets? And I'm going to kick it off to Sky.
Well, I think that one of our biggest fears is that we will see more shutdowns, not just from a economy or market standpoint, but just from a physical standpoint. We're all trying to get out and enjoy sort of the summer, and we've reached some semblance of normalcy coming forward, and the fear of that sort of slowing things down is something that is on the horizon, it seems. Truth is, we don't really know what might happen globally with more shutdowns and effects on businesses, but sort of the financial planning aspects and that we have assembled, the principles hold true to help weather any kind of shutdown.
Yeah, and expanding on that is, as it pertains to COVID, and a lot of people thinking we were in the 8th or 9th inning of it, at least in this country, are potentially coming to the realization that we might be in the 4th or 5th inning, with this. But as Skylar said, we need it from a financial planning standpoint. We need to see through that and concentrate on the long term. So it's the same things you've heard come out of our mouths 10, 20, 30, 50 times is stay the course, make sure that we're rebalancing. We have set rules as it pertains to, whether it's investment planning, whether it's retirement, whether it's expense analysis, et cetera, that help govern and keep us on the same path. So we just need to stay true to that and constantly tweak when necessary. So, that's from the client standpoint. From an economic standpoint, we are still seeing positive economic results coming from some of our largest companies here in the U.S. We're seeing continuous hiring. We're seeing jobs that aren't being filled. So the unemployment numbers may be stunted a bit, but companies are hiring. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing limited hours, especially at, talking to some of my Ocean City, Maryland clients. There's limited hours for some of these restaurants because they can't get workers back to man all of those hours. So we're definitely not through it, but as it pertains to financial planning, stay the course, keep our goals and rules in mind.
Absolutely agree. And just thinking about it as well, is we're not in May of 2020 or March of 2020 when this thing was just getting rolling and we didn't know as much about the actual virus itself. We know a lot more now. There are vaccines that do help with the variant, whether you're vaccinated or not. That's something that we didn't have last year, right? So we're not in the same state we were when shutdowns were beginning and companies just had so much uncertainty. We know that the demand is there. We know that the household balance sheets are strong, and that's proven through with all the spending numbers. So as the economy continues to get better, there's going to be hiccups. And right now we're going through one. But how it actually progresses, we're not sure. But we do know that we're better equipped now than we were last year. So that is a positive.
Perfect. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the next topic, guys. Our next question is, I've been hearing a lot about inflation. What's going on with the Federal Reserve and how does that impact me? And for this topic, I'm going to kick it off to Nap this time first.
Great question. So first off, what is tapering? Well, that is when the Federal Reserve stops buying as much bonds as they have been over the last year, 2 years, going back to 2008. You heard this tapering talk a lot in 2014 because that's when they hinted that they would slow down the bond buying, and that type of program happened again because of COVID. So when people talk about tapering, that just means the Fed is not going to be buying as much of the bonds in the marketplace and soaking up that demand, which in turn can put a pressure on interest rates to go up. Now, they haven't actually said they're going to start tapering, so we don't have any definitive information on when that's going to start. But at some point, they likely will as the economy gets better. We get to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and economic numbers keep pouring in. And that alone will also feed into the inflation question is, well, is all of this bond buying causing inflation? And the reality is it might be, but it's not absolutely the cause because, as we know, we were shut down a year ago. Inflation numbers look past a year back. So we continue to see numbers very high compared to where it was last year. But that's also because it's compared to where we were last year. So demand is high. We're buying more. We see it at the grocery store that, we are paying more for certain things. Housing market has been on fire. All that leads to more inflationary pressures. So at some point, the Fed is going to say, well, the economy is getting pretty hot. We're going to have to pull back some of the support. And that in turn will raise interest rates, which will damp some demand. And that's how the Fed really controls inflation. But coming back towards where we've been in such a period of low inflation for so long that some high inflation, they say, is probably a decent thing for the economy, but overinflation is not. So that's really what we're watching is not just the strong inflation numbers. We're also watching the personal income, the earnings, how people are spending, as well as the overinflation, which we don't seem to really be there yet. So that's just something to think about is, we have a strong technology that is actually deflationary in a lot of these areas, housing, healthcare, a lot of the places and education where inflation has been high for so long, while the other places have not. Technology is making a disruption. So I think we're going to have a balancing out over the next, few quarters and years when it comes to inflation, but definitely something we're paying attention to and will continue to do so.
Did anyone else want to add anything to that, Skylar, Greg, before we move on to the next topic?
Well, yeah, I think that the Fed is targeting 2%, and what I was reading the other day was that they're looking at maybe right now it looks at about 2.7%, and they were saying it may be a moderate amount above their 2% target, maybe up to 3% would be tolerable before they decided to do any tapering, and that if they were going to be doing any tapering, that the public would be made aware of their decision before them going to do so.
Yeah, and one of the things about inflation that we've gotten from clients, the question is where do I invest? How do I can I take advantage of inflation? And the assets that you own or the investments that you own need to be in an asset class that Nad mentioned, real estate, stocks. If you have a diversified portfolio, you're going to realize some of your money is going to be appreciating with inflation. If inflation doesn't hit, that's the one catcher is a lot of people are saying inflation. Well, what happens if we stay at these current levels? We don't know. So you need to have a good diversified portfolio that can take advantage of whether inflation happens or inflation doesn't. So it's key to balance and look at both sides of the coin and make sure that some of your money does well no matter what happens in the world, economy, political, whatever we're discussing. So yes, we have investments that we've used for our clients that will benefit from inflation. So that is one specific element that we can talk about with you specifically if there's any changes that.
Okay. So with that being said, we're going to move on to another topic that I know you guys love so much, which is taxes. So the question that we received in reference to this are there any tax considerations or reminders that we should be aware of? And I'm going to kick it off to Greg to start.
So one of the requests that we have for all of you, our clients, is to send us your tax return. That allows us to review what happened in the previous year. It also allows us to use that as a template or a foundation for any changes or recommendations for the current year. So there will be an email coming out to you all in the next couple of weeks requesting that, because we do need to accept it securely. So you can upload it to your vault in WealthVision, or we request a secure email from us so we can send it to you, and then you can reply back and it'll get to us securely. Just want to make sure that all your precious information is protected. So that is key for a lot of different financial planning elements. So when you have 2020, please send it over to us or let us know you have it ready, and we'll get you that secure email.
Yeah, and on that note, when you say have 2020, it's important because a lot of people were on extension, and if you're on extension, then there's different deadlines that you have to follow, especially if you're a business owner that has either a simple IRA or a SEP IRA. If you did file an extension and you have employer contributions to make, the deadline is coming up. If you are a pass-through entity like a S Corp or LLC, that deadline is 9/15, so September 15th. And if you're a C Corp a Schedule C corporation, then you would be able to do that up to 10/15. So those are two reminders that we definitely want to remind employers about if you are either a solo or have employees that participate in a simple and SEP and filed an extension.
So make sure you get your contributions in if you haven't already. But actually, another program that's available for folks is the Solo K plan, which has gained some steam over the past couple of years. People are more familiar about it, but it's actually a good tool that if you've been using a SEP IRA or a simple IRA and are just a individual person or are working together with your spouse, to consider, because you could really add in some additional savings in a big way. And I can give you an example here. So with the SEP IRA, for instance, based on $100,000 level of income, the cap for your contributions from employer only is about $25,000. So, and you can do that on a pre-tax basis. And the good news is you can do that up until your filing extension. So if you're late to the party, you decided that you wanted to make a contribution after the year is done, and your cash flow is evened out, the SEP's going to be your friend. But comparatively, the Solo K, with that same $100,000 level of income, and if you have the cash flow and you in advance before the year end, you could put in up to $19,500 or $26,000 if you're over the age of 50 as a salary deferral, and that's either on a pre-tax or a Roth basis, and that's whether you're able to contribute to a Roth IRA or not. There's an income limitation there. That does not apply to the Solo K. Plus, you get the same $25,000 employer contribution. Again, that's based on the $100,000 of income, 25%. So that almost doubles your level of contribution right there, or over doubles it. And then really, the extra kicker is that you could do a non-deductible salary deferral of up to the difference of the plan maximum. In this scenario is about $13,500. So the plan max is $58,000 or $64,500 if you're over the age of 50. So you get this extra icing on the cake of this non-deductible contribution, which you could, at the same time, if the plan allows you to convert into a Roth into that, so you don't have to pay any tax on any of the sort of growth. So it's a pretty good strategy that if you've been doing the SEP IRA or the simple IRA and you're just a single person to consider if you haven't already.
And one more deadline, Skylar mentioned simple IRAs, same with NAV, that if you guys do not have a retirement plan for 2021 and you wanted to set up a simple, there is a deadline, which is October 1st. So if that is a consideration that you have, we need to talk quickly to make sure that we can get that plan installed for this year so you can take advantage of that tax deferral for this year.
Greg, so, I think the same applies to Safe Harbor 401ks as well.
It does. You're right. Correct. So don't sit on your hands if this is something that you came up with or we discussed before. Make sure that you reach out and we can talk through that so we don't miss that deadline. In the one element I wanted to add to Skylar's graphic was, if you have excess cash flow and just highlighting that he said income. So this needs to be earned income from a business, whether it's 1099 or whether it's your own business. So it cannot be Social Security income or rental income. It's got to be earned income in order to take advantage of these retirement plans. So I just wanted to specify that. And then highlight it if cash flow does allow this excess contribution, give us a call. Let's talk through where the best place to put that. It may be this mega Roth strategy. It may be paying down debt. It may be adding to college fund. There's tons of places where excess cash flow could go. You could take an extra vacation, which is always the number one idea of clients. So just let us know and we'll help you walk through that to make sure that is the best place to put it. It's the best tax advantage, but it may not be for everyone.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next topic, guys. Our next question is, how have the markets been performing so far this year? And I'm actually going to kick it off to Sky to start this one off.
I think Nav's all queued up and ready to prepare on this one.
I got you, Scholar. No worries. So what I want to do here is just share my screen, and we're going to look at a very colorful graphic of what we call the asset class quilt. And I like this because it not only shows what's happened year to date, and you'll see that all over here on this right side here, but it also shows what's happened going back to 2006. And it doesn't just break down individual indices. It also gives you what an asset allocation of all of those blended together looks like. So year to date, you can see the best performing asset class is REITs. So what's that? It's a real estate investment trust. So those were hit pretty hard last year with COVID because we weren't sure what was going to happen with all of these various properties, whether it's apartments, whether it's commercial businesses, malls. But those have actually bounced back quite strong year to date with the very best performance. And that's also an indication of both REITs and commodities because of how inflation has been higher this year. Commodities for the first time in a very long time is one of the top performing asset classes. So you see here year to date 21%, but if you go back all the way back, you'll see commodities is generally down here. And that's because of that period we've had that inflation just hasn't really been there, plus some other things going on in the world that cause commodity prices to go down. So that's one of the big asset classes here. And then another one that's pretty strong is small cap and large cap stocks. And this is large US stocks. So this is kind of showing what a risk on environment it's been in 2021 because of these great performance in these high risk asset classes. So then after that, you have developed market equities. So that's international equities, the Europe, Japan areas. And then you have asset allocation. So what's that? That's the blending of these various asset classes based on a risk tolerance and a weighting. And you'll see that it's generally going to be somewhere in the middle of all of these different indices. So You're not going to have the best performance if you're in an asset allocation model, but you're also not going to have the worst because you're fully diversified. Something's working, something's not. And generally, when the other thing was working last year, the new thing isn't. So again, a balancing effect so that you don't have this crazy jump like commodities or REITs where you're the top and then you're at the bottom and then you're at the top. So very good performance overall year to date. Bonds have been the worst performer, and that's in fixed income duration bonds. So 3 to 10 to 30-year bonds have performed the worst because interest rates went from rock bottom to above 1.8% at one point. Now it's back down to 1.2%. But the prices of bonds have an inverse relationship to interest rates. So when interest rates go up, bonds perform worse, and that's why we have the fixed income market down at the bottom, followed by, and then cash second, giving you 0%, which is actually not true because of inflation. Cash is actually going to give you less than 0%, just because and you're not earning anything with the cash that's on hand due to inflation being what it has been this year. So that's just a quick overview of the various indices going from year to date, as well as going back to 2006. So just like to show that as a way to just open up the conversation broader about how markets have performed.
And I wanted to highlight quickly now the white, the asset allocation that you referenced, the column that is second from the right, ANN, that stands for annualized. So you can see how each one of these asset classes on average do every single year going back to 2006. So asset allocation is 6.7%. That is a good number to use for planning purposes. And you'll see that is consistent when we're looking at wealth vision, retirement planning, et cetera. We look at a number that's closer to that and not the 21.3% that the REIT has done year to date. So, the key element that I wanted to reiterate is we need to position our clients' money to have a little bit in each one of these different colors, because we do not know which color is going to do better next year.
Yes, and these are not predictive, or I guess that's a good example of these not being predictive of future results. But from a planning standpoint, the longer term trends are something that we might use in modeling situations, but not as a predictive measure for what is going to perpetuate in the future.
Correct. Okay. All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Did anyone want to add anything else?
So I did see, and what Nat was talking about is how interest rates are so low. And a couple of years ago at some of these high interest savings accounts and CD rates, you might have gotten 2% on a high interest savings account, or you could get, maybe 3% on like a 5-year annuity. That's not happening. If you go to bankrate.com, you can see what the current interest rates are. They give you a pretty nice spread or look at to what you might be able to get. And I think high interest savings accounts are somewhere around 0.6%, or like a 3-year annuity might be at 0.8%, or I'm sorry, a 3-year CD might be at 0.8%. And that was a little foreshadowing because the word annuity was going to come out of my mouth. The multi-year fixed rate annuities are looking fairly attractive here comparatively, where you could see on a 2-year or a 3-year you could get 2.35% or on a 5-year 2.6%, which is just this, compared to a CD. This is going to be give you a lot of additional return and it's insured by the insurance company that has the annuity. Now, key difference is this is going to be tax deferred, and also this is going to be for somebody that if you're looking to access the money in the next 3 years after the maturity, is you really got to be over the 59 and a half age bracket, because otherwise there would be some penalties on that growth. But if you're looking at some CDs that are about to come due and wondering, hey, I want to keep this to be my secure money and I want to lock it up, the multi-year guaranteed annuity options might be good. And those were current rates from one of the providers that they're going to change monthly for you.
Yeah, and one of the strategies, which whether you're a client listening to this or not, we can stagger the maturities of these investments, these annuities. So if there's a block of money that we need to allocate and we don't want to choose a 7-year or a 5-year or a 2-year or a 3-year, we can split the money up proportionately and choose, let's say you have $300,000, you can put 100 in a 2-year, 100 in a 3-year, and 100 in a 4-year. So what that allows is if interest rates do go up, like we had discussed earlier in this webinar, then you have a third of your money coming due in 2 years that you can reallocate to a higher interest type investment. Same with 3, same with 4. And if interest rates stay the way that they are, well, then you have some of your money in a longer term, collecting a higher interest rate, like Skylar said. So it's called laddering, is what that term is. But it's not for everybody, but that is just one way that we, or one idea that we've used for clients to position a block of money if we need it short term.
Okay. So I know I definitely want to move on to Account View 2.0 updates, but I just wanted to know, is there anything else of value you guys wanted to add to this conversation before we move on?
Yeah, I think it's always good to touch on international stocks versus U.S. stocks. We talked about it a bit when I showed that asset class quilt, but the performance of international compared to U.S. has been better in certain periods of time, but for the last 13 plus years, really the U.S. has dominated. So what I do want to show is a chart that goes back to the 70s about how international and U.S. performed. Outperformance has gone back and forth for quite a while. So this chart in the purplish bluish color is the EFI index, so that's the International Developed Index, and then the gray is the U.S.
And now I'm not sure that your chart's coming up.
Yeah, try sharing a different screen.
Let's try that again. Thank you for letting me know.
Sure. Maybe it wasn't you, Nav.
Yeah, I can't see anything either.
Uh-oh. Did we overshare?
We may have. Oh, here we come. All right, we're going to turn our videos on and off, see if that works. It doesn't. Okay. So if you guys can, clients listening, if you can still hear us, that's great. Now we don't have to worry about what we look like, because that's video. So we'll work on it. If we can get the video back, we will. But Nav, why don't you keep on your thought, but just illustrate it a little bit more using your words.
Yes, absolutely. So without the chart, the key here is there has been periods of outperformance by both sectors and both asset classes. Going back to the 70s, they traded back and forth about every 3 years. And then in the 80s, there was a 6-year outperformance by international. And then the U.S. took it back in the early 90s for 4 years, and then slightly international, then U.S. again for 6 years up to 2000. And then from 2000 to about 2007, 2008, international had the banner for 7+ years. And since that point, the U.S. has been outperforming international for 13.6 years, to be exact, based on this chart from 630, at 237%. So what this shows is you want to be in both, because there is going to be years, and even throughout the years, there was a point that international outperformed U.S. over this last 13.6 years, but on average, the U.S. has done better over these last 13 years. But the key is to have allocation to both, because each and every year they generally change, and at some point there will be a period where international outperforms the U.S. And what we want to have is make sure we have exposure to both at certain levels, that doesn't overexpose our clients to one way or another, so that we can make sure we take advantage of that, not only diversification, but the
Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but the room is just rebooting.
Hey, we're back.
Hey, we are back, guys. Just want to say Robin saved the day on that one.
Thank you, Robin.
This wouldn't have worked if you all traveled to our office and we were doing it in person.
I didn't even still wanted to put up the graphic nav just so they can view it.
Yeah, I can quickly finish the thought by showing the actual graphic. Can you guys see the screen?
We can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is just an illustrative purpose of showing that U.S. and the international markets do trade back and forth, even though it's been a very dominant 13 years for the U.S. Even in between those 13 years, there's been periods where international has done better in certain years. So we just want to make sure we explain that to clients that, sure, everybody kind of has a home country bias, but we want to make sure that based on market cap of the world, that we're properly represented in those great companies abroad, because they also get benefit from us, because they also operate in our markets, just like our companies operate in international markets and emerging markets. So key here is just understanding that they have different makeups, but it's important to be exposed to both, which we do for our clients.
Perfect. So moving on to the next topic, guys. I just wanted to give you guys a couple of AccountView 2.0 updates. If you have been trying to access your accounts and you don't have access, please reach out to us. When you were migrated to AccountView 2.0, you just might have missed the email to actually activate your profile, and the links expire after 48 hours. So just please contact us. You can reach out to Nav, Sky, or me personally, and we will resend you the links.
Yeah. Just a quick update. Thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
If who's listening doesn't know, we grew our organization by 2 over the last couple of months. I'll include you, Skylar.
It's 3. We grew by 3.
Yes, 3. So Skylar and had his second child, Finn. Joe is currently navigating his third child, Max. And Katie welcomed her daughter into the world on Monday, which we're happy for. And she has a great story around her daughter's name. So I'm thinking that we just wait and maybe let her let all of you know what she decided, her and Drew, her husband, decided to name her daughter. I think it's a really cool tribute and name. So more to come on that. So that'll be our teaser for the day.
I'm happy you didn't steal her shine, Greg, and you're gonna let her go.
Can't.
I thought you were going to
Joe doesn't care that I stole his.
Right.
Okay. So 1 second. Did anyone want to add Did anyone want to add anything else before we close out today?
No, I think we've heard, seen it all. We went dark. Robin got us back. We have 3 new games. I think we've done a lot. I associated the Olympics with finances, which I don't know if you guys like that or not, but
I'm a fan, Greg, and I want to make it known that if you have any questions, give me a call, give Nav a call, give Greg a call. We're here to discuss anything that you have on your mind about your finances or markets or your financial plan.
And if you have any baby advice, make sure you call Joe. He wants as much as he can get.
Yes.
So thank you again for attending, guys. We sure hope that you come back next time. Welcome to the first webinar that is officially AD JuiceBox. We hope you enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you, Robin.
Have a great one, everyone.
Bye, guys.